We talked about it in yesterday's two videos that the Leafs were definitely not done making moves. And if I'm not mistaken, I did say that Andreas Johnsson or guys like Alex Kerfoot would be moved in the near future. Didn't think it was going to be the very next day, as Andreas Johnsson has been traded to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for right winger Joey Anderson. Now, we obviously know this was kind of that cap dump type of trade to kind of free up that cap space. But the way I look at it, I guess, a little bit more is, this is not some 35-year-old player in the final year of his deal making $6.5 million. Andreas Johnson's 25, 3 years left at 3.4, I think it was, or 3.2, in and around there. So I didn't really understand why you were kind of like just getting rid of him for nothing. But not saying Joey Anderson is nothing, a 22-year-old right winger who played some time with the New Jersey Devils this year. So you look at a guy like him, and will he slot in that bottom six? I wouldn't say so. He's been a very good AHLer, and he had 6 points in 18 games for the Devils this past year. So does he slot in the Leafs at some point in time? I don't know. He's a 22-year-old kid. You got a young prospect out of him. Whether he turns into anything, I don't know. But in the end, the Leafs got out of the luxury tax, or no, I guess not, it's not basketball. They got under the salary cap again. And obviously they went after Zach Bogosian. We'll talk about that very shortly. I'm very excited about that move. But you freed up some cap space a little bit. And we kind of expected this move to happen. I'm not going to make a big video about this, guys, just for the fact of we kind of saw this type of move coming. Moving on from a guy like Andreas Johnsson to move that salary cap hit. And either bringing in a pick or a prospect or a young guy making bare minimum change. He's an RFA, actually, is this Joey Anderson kid this year. So the Leafs are going to have to re-sign him. But, I mean, he's not going to ask for much. Probably an $800K contract, nothing crazy. And I look where the Leafs are at now, and I'm like, all right, it's a little bit better of a situation now. They moved on from Johnsson. It's going to give guys... Sorry, guys. It's going to give guys like, Nick Robertson significant third-line time. Obviously, Ilya Mikheyev and Travis Dermott are still RFAs, so you want to have some money to re-sign those guys. You imagine if you get Mikheyev back, and you have that third line. Let's say if Kerfoot, Robertson, and Mikheyev. It's pretty studly of a third line. And oh yeah, then you got Simmons and Spezza on the fourth. The forward core doesn't look bad. Even with losing Johnsson and Kapanen. It doesn't look bad. That's why we know this Leaf team, depth-wise, was there offensively, and they traded for a spot from a spot of, they had a substantial amount to a spot where they didn't have a lot of, and more or less cap room. I guess that's really what it was. They dumped Kapanen for basically cap space, and then they dumped Andreas Johnsson for cap space for Joey Anderson. Now, is Joey Anderson a big guy who's going to hit a lot? I wouldn't say so. Again, the guy's only 5'11", 190, so he's not a very big guy. But again, a 22-year-old kid, a right-wing young guy. So you kind of replace Johnsson with a younger player, 3 years younger, and you don't really know what Joey Anderson's going to be, if anything at all, right? So I look at this move, like I said, as a cap dump. You free up some space, and it still would not surprise me if a guy like Alex Kerfoot is moved. Because, like I said, you do want to have to find a way to re-sign guys like Travis Dermott or Ilya Mikheyev, who's actually going to arbitration, is Ilya Mikheyev. So, I don't know what this means moving forward. I don't know what other moves are going to be made. We knew they were going to move somebody. They did with Johnsson. They brought in that tough right defenseman in Zach Bogosian. We'll talk about that shortly. And so now, where does the focus look? Do you look to shed more salary with maybe moving a guy like Nylander? Please. I bought the jersey. I have a JVR jersey. I have a Nylander jersey. I don't want to lose it, but I understand if they do have to trade him. A guy like Alex Kerfoot's another guy that could possibly be moved, as we mentioned. I don't know where Kyle Dubas is going to stop. All I know is that the stuff that he has done to this point are all good moves. You brought in Brody. You brought in Wayne Simmons. You've now brought in Bogosian. You move Andreas Johnsson's contract. You move Kapanen's contract. These are all moves that we kind of saw coming, but he's making them happen. You're not having to attach draft picks towards these guys. You're making these moves. You're bringing in some talent, some different kinds of talent that you have not had in quite a long time, some grit and fight to them. And it's good. And I'm going to wrap this video up with this. I want to say thanks to Andreas Johnsson, who, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, when you draft a guy in the 7th round, you don't expect him to be really anything at all. Andreas Johnsson came to the Leafs when he was 23 years of age. Young guy, a 7th round pick. You don't really know what you're going to get. He really went with the Marlies, and we're like, okay, maybe good things can happen here. And he has a very good start to his young career. I think he finished like 7th or 8th in Calder votings last season. And then obviously the injury this past year through the COVID-19 break they had, and for the first little bit of the playoffs when he returned for the final game. So I loved Andreas Johnsson. He was drafted by the Leafs in 2013. He's been in the organization for 7 years. Doesn't feel like it, but he's been on the Leafs for a few years. But when you start making money on a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, the way they're built right now, it's just a matter of time. And I hate to say it that way, but it's true. And, you know, he wasn't performing up to expectations. He got injured. That didn't help his case. And then the money crunch started happening. And you didn't want to trade one of your top guys, Tavares, Matthews, Martin, or Neal. You didn't want to have to do that. So they move on from a guy like Johnsson instead, where the depth forwards are just fine, right? You still have your beautiful top 6. Excuse me. You have Nick Robertson going, like, where we saw him in the playoffs, and Robertson looked fine. That's why I'm not worried about him slotting into an Andreas Johnsson role or whatnot. You bring back Mikheyev, hopefully, and hopefully everything goes smooth. You know, he wasn't there for most of the season because he got injured and was done until really the playoffs started. So he's another guy that can play significant minutes instead of Kapanen's minutes, right? He can even play the second line if Nylander is struggling or somebody's struggling. A lot of great things that are still on this roster. So moving on guys like from Kapanen and Andreas Johnsson, it makes sense for the Leafs. They've done a great job. But for me, it seems like they're not done yet. All right? What are your guys' takes on this trade, though? Do you like the trade? Do you not like the trade? Do you think they could have got more? I believe they could have got a little bit more for Andreas Johnsson, but maybe the injury and the inconsistency, you know, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even know who Joey Anderson is, really. I don't really know much about him at all. Any Devil fans out there that know a little bit about Joey Anderson, let me know in the comments below, all right? So, guys, that is going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video and you like the trade for the Toronto Maple Leafs because it just made sense, smack that like button to appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below your thoughts on the deal. Do you like the deal? Do you not like the deal? Do the Leafs give up too much? Do they not get enough back? Let me know your takes, guys, in the comments below. What was your fondest Andreas Johnsson memory? Mine is his first goal against Montreal, where he was jumping up and down like a kid on, you know, scoring his first goal ever in hockey. Looks so happy. And you love to see it, and I loved Andreas Johnson's smile. It's unfortunate that he's got to go, but that is sports. That is the business. And this team wants to compete, and when he's making that type of money, it's kind of difficult on this team. All right? So, guys, Twitter is down below for myself. Follow up, send me a DM, all that great stuff. Also, the Instagram link is down in the description below. So if you have not followed the Instagram page already, please go do so. And I will talk to you guys very shortly. Leafs edition. Zach Bogosian is a Toronto Maple Leaf. We'll talk about that very shortly. All right? So, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Talk to you guys then.